Hello everyone, it is Toby here and I am back after a short break to talk about all things Rogue Invitational this year. Apologies, I've been away for a few weeks. I will be releasing a video talking all about where I have been, but for this video we are talking about the Rogue Invitational. The events have finally been released. We have the athletes lineup and it is looking to be a very exciting competition. So without further ado, in just a second, we will get into all of that. But if you are new to this channel and you are new here, go down below, click like on the video and subscribe, as it helps me out massively to grow this channel. So without further ado, as I said, no more bollocks, let's get straight into the stuff. So as normal with the Rogue Invitational, it is a multi-day competition with a 10-person lineup. We have both the men and the women competing, and it is held up in Aberdeen, Scotland, for is it the second or third year in a row? I can't remember. I think it's the second. But we have some very stacked lineups here. So kicking things off with the women, we have, of course, Angelica Jardine, Olga Leashuk, Lucy Underdown, Inez Carrasquillo, Rebecca Roberts, Andrea Thompson, Jennifer Lyle, Mel Peacock, Hannah Lindsay, and Sam Bellevue. That is a hella strong lineup, a very solid, typical sort of Rogue style lineup that we usually see at the Arnold's and the Rogue Invitational. A mix of athletes here with some lighter weight, some proper heavyweight, and some really strong girls across the board. I am so excited to see these guys go up against the events we have in store. And over on the men's side, we have one hell of a stacked lineup. We have Mitchell Hooper making his comeback to competition after a short break. We have, of course, Thor Bjornsson fresh off of the amazing 510 kilo deadlift. We have Lucas Hatton coming back to this competition, Evan Singleton, Trey Mitchell, Tom Stoltman, Rain O'Neill, Austin Andrade, Paddy Haynes, and Thomas Evans, rounding out what is an incredibly stacked lineup. Now, without further ado, I think we should jump into what these events are and then start talking about the competition as a whole. Now, I'll start things off by saying I am a massive fan of all of these events. They look super exciting. We've got some returning events from the last year, but we also have some brand new ones. We have, starting things off, the Max Wagon Wheel Deadlift. This is going to be an 18-inch axle deadlift for Max. Tons of weight jumps. You have 3 lifts to nominate to get the heaviest weight possible. Now, this is the sort of deadlift I like. For me personally, as someone doing events, I love an elevated deadlift. I love an axle. I think an 18-inch axle deadlift for Max is going to be a hell of a way to start off the competition. Obviously, with this sort of event, you're looking at people like Thor for this kind of event. Obviously, any deadlift, you're looking at Thor, but Lucas Hatton seems to be built perfectly for an elevated deadlift, a huge, tremendous amount of leg power. I'd expect Evan Singleton to be quite decent at this sort of event, and of course, you can't count out Mitchell Hooper or Trey Mitchell on this sort of deadlift. Obviously, at World's Strongest Man, Trey Mitchell doing incredibly well at the 18-inch deadlift. So it's going to be a hell of an event to kick things off. Next up, we have the Viking Press, and the Viking Press is one that seems to split the fans quite a bit, but for me, I love it as an overhead. I think it's really cool to watch, and knowing Rogue, they are going to build some really cool looking Viking Press, hopefully. So that is our first overhead of the competition and a really exciting one to look forward to. Obviously, here we're going to look at Trey Mitchell, Lucas Hatton, Evan Singleton, all very good at Viking Press. Thomas Evans as well, can't count him out on an overhead, of course. And then our next event is returning from last year. We have the yoke escalator, which is the yoke into the power stairs. I really enjoyed this event last year with the 5 lanes going head to head in what is a massive race. Should be a very exciting finish to day number 1. And another event that's very good for someone like Evan Singleton, Mitchell Hooper. It's going to be a fast-paced, exciting race of an event. Then we have the circus press medley, which I believe is going to be some circus dumbbells into what I think is an axle for reps. So we have seen a similar medley before where it was 2 fixed weight axles. Now I believe it is going to be an axle for reps to finish things off. And I love an overhead medley, especially when it has a theme like a circus medley where it's circus dumbbells and like a nice big like circus axle style looking thing. I think there might be a kettlebell in there as well, like there has been in previous years. Just some really exciting, interesting overhead medley. We have the sort of overhead test of endurance with the Viking press, and now the medley is about speed and adaptability overhead. I think the circus press medley is going to be a really interesting one. We then have another returning event in the power drive. You remember that big hay bale looking thing that the athletes have to push, and then I believe that is into an arm over arm pull. Going to be a real test of fitness, endurance, strength. It is going to be one of those grit events. And you have to remember, last year we only had about 4 athletes finish off this event. So removing that little interim Husafel bag might change things up, but knowing Rogue, it's going to be hard, it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be a real test, especially so late in the competition. The second last event, these guys are going to be feeling it. They're going to be fried. It is going to be a tough challenge. But our final event is the Mons Meg Stones. I believe this is a typical sort of natural stone, no tacky loading event where I believe they have to load it over a hitching post or something, or onto barrels, some form of stone replica. I'm not really sure. That's all the information I have on it so far. But this is the sort of event you're looking at someone like Thor to come out with an event win. He's so good at any sort of stone loading, as he was last year. And it's just going to be a really interesting event to finish off. So that is our event lineup for this competition. As I said, for me, there is no bad event in there. It is constant pressure, constant tests. No event feels out of place. I think it is going to be a really, really exciting competition. And with these lineups for both the men and the women, I think we are going to be in for a very, very exciting competition. And now I have the unfortunate ability to try and call a top 3 so far out without ever looking at any training or anything. I'll do a proper full-on predictions video closer to the competition. But looking at these events, looking at the athlete lineup, I think for the men, we are going to see... it's so tough. It's so tough to call. Like, there are any of these guys I could see on the podium, but for me, without even thinking about it, just looking at it, I think Mitch is going to be in incredible shape. I know there's question marks over his return, but speaking to Loz, seeing how Loz feels about Mitch's form, I think Mitch is going to be on that podium. I'm not going to do it in any order. I'm just going to say 3 names who I think are going to be on the podium. I think it would be silly to count out Thor at this competition. He's just in impeccable shape. I think the max deadlift will be very good for him. I think the power drive will be very good. I think the stones will be fantastic. Yoke escalator, if the yoke doesn't hinder him too much, it'll be very, very decent on the power stairs. I don't think Viking press is as bad for him as some overheads. And I think the circus press medley will be decent for him. I think he came like 4th on this event last year. So I could see Thor up there. And then 3rd place is just open-ended. I could see Lucas Hatton up there. I could see Evan Singleton up there. Obviously, Evan's been in incredible shape at the Strongest Man on Earth. Had a bit of a hiccup over in Birmingham. But these are some really fantastic events for Evan at this competition. Like Viking press, yoke escalator, circus press medley, power drive. All very good events for Evan. I think the stones maybe aren't so good for him, but the max deadlift should be decent for him as well. I could see Evan up there. Trey, Lucas, any of these guys could be up in that 3rd spot. But if I'm going to say who I think is going to be on the podium at this competition, I think we're going to have a Mitch, I think we're going to have a Thor, and I think we're going to have a Lucas on that podium. No particular order, but I think Evan's going to be up there as well. It's just, I've got to pick 3 names, and there are about 7 or 8 names, maybe even 10 names, to be honest, that could be on that podium. It's such a close, tight-knit competition. And very similarly over on the women's as well. If I had to pick 3 names completely blind right now, I think Inez is going to be on there. I think Rebecca's going to be on there. And I think Lucy is going to be on there. But Angelica could be on there. Andrea could be on there. You know, it's so, so tough to call this competition. I'm not even going to try and think about calling this competition until closer to the time. This video was more to get out my thoughts on the events, my thoughts on the lineup, and my thoughts is it's going to be a fantastic competition. It's going to be an exciting one. The events are fantastic. The lineups are strong. what more is there to say? So go down below, let me know in the comments down below what you think of the Rogue Invitational lineups and the events this year. Are there any events missing that you would like to have seen at this competition? Do you think it's too similar to last year? Do you think they haven't experimented enough? Or do you think, like me, that this is a fantastic set of events that is going to really test these athletes over that weekend? But anyway, thank you once again so much for watching. I've been Toby. Go down below, leave a like on the video and subscribe. Comment all your thoughts in the comment section down below. And I promise I won't leave you guys for another 3 weeks, hopefully.